1830, reaction to Napoleon and the Congress of Vienna. And my essential question for you is, how did Europe react to the Congress of Vienna? Basically, what this lecture is all about is the revolutions that occur after the Congress of Vienna is over and Europe tries to return to the life it had before Napoleon, but you really can't go back. And so in 1830, we have some significant revolutions. France in 1830 was ruled by Charles X, and he began to restore the old ways. He was a believer in the divine right of kings. One of the things he did was an indemnity was granted to emigres who wanted to return. So all those people that left during the French Revolution because they were part of the aristocracy, he's trying to get them back. So he wants to get back, the rich people, the nobles, and he offers them money, just what you need to give somebody to come back, right? Money. The Catholic Church's power was restored. You might remember that the revolution got rid of the power of the Catholic Church. And Napoleon did try to make peace, but now Charles X restores the Catholic Church. Opposition grew to these changes. The lower classes did not want absolute Bourbon control, because if they got absolute Bourbon control, those that put Louis XVI, the Bourbon, to death would be tried and probably put on trial and probably executed themselves. So anytime you had killed a king, anybody that was involved in that, their relatives, all the way down the line, are going to be attacked. The Chamber of Deputies voted no confidence in the government, and the Chamber of Deputies is going to be the lower parliament in France. So the king takes action. And by the way, if you declare no confidence, that means, it's a big public sign that you don't think your leader is doing a good job and that you want to get rid of him. The king then, of course, dissolved the Chamber of Deputies. You guys know the pattern here. King doesn't like what Parliament's doing. He can get rid of the Parliament, and he does. New elections were then held. And the new elections do the same thing as the ones that were in before. They repudiated the king's policies. They actually go further. So it shows the people were unhappy. He got rid of the Chamber of Deputies, those involved, and then had elections to replace them, and they were even more in favor of getting rid of the king's policies. So then we have the July Revolution. The king then passes the July Ordinances. These took away free speech. Free speech was restricted, took away rights of freedom of the press, along with all other rights of expression, public meetings and things like that. These are similar to the Carlsbad decrees in Germany. And then the July Revolution occurred the next day. And for 3 days, these are often called the Three Glorious Days, the people rise up against Charles X. Republicans act. Republicans would be those that want a republic, meaning that you've got Parliament with some say, you've got laws written down, and in a republic you've got an elected leader. The Republicans acted against the king between the 27th and the 29th. And one of the first things they did is throw up barricades in the city to prevent movement of the king. They didn't want the king to flee as Louis XVI had tried to do. And the army and police were defied. The map you see on the left there is the old city of Paris. And there were only a few main streets that they could block to make sure that people could not leave and come and go. So there's unhappiness with the charter. There was unhappiness with the Constitutional Charter of 1814. Marquis de Lafayette, name for the past, offers a solution. And you might remember he helped the United States get our freedom. He was a officer under George Washington. He almost had his head chopped off in the French Revolution. He was saved only because of he was a patriot, and now he comes back to try to be a peacemaker. So one of the things they do is appoint a new king. Yes, he does look like Elvis. That's called a pompadour, this hairstyle, which was made popular by the French kings. The Duke of Orleans, Louis Philippe, was offered as a new king. So that's Louis on the left. Although a change was made, it was mainly one of mood. This often happens as well. They're going to make the change, get a new leader, somebody that they think will satisfy people, but really he doesn't change things much. That is pretty much, that's pretty much a pattern. And the shift is going to be from one constitutional monarchy to another. So you're still don't have a republic, you've got a constitutional monarchy, but you're hoping the new monarch is enlightened and will, push progress. Changes that were made. The Chamber of Peers ceased to become hereditary, so that was one good thing. That would be like the House of Lords in England. This was passed on from generation to generation. So upon death, here's what they did. Upon death, new members were now appointed, and it didn't just go to the oldest son. The Chamber of Deputies would now be elected by a larger body, an enlarged body. So in other words, they allowed more people to vote. Under Napoleon, all adults could vote, even women. Congress of Vienna puts things back the way they were, so no women and a lower number of adults that could vote. But now they're going to increase that number. So, this is the same pattern that happened with Cromwell in England. Big change, then go back to the way it used to be, and then finally you settle somewhere in between. What were the benefits? The upper bourgeois benefited the most from the changes, and these would be the most well-to-do of the middle class. Most people were satisfied with the changes. In this case, people wanted to see that they had a voice and just wanted a change, and so they were satisfied that they made a few changes. It wasn't like the French Revolution, which changed everything overnight in a big way. These are just going to be smaller changes. The radical Democrats were not happy, of course. They want more say and more people voting. They want everything to be much more democratic. Successful revolutions of 1830. Belgium was able to gain independence from the Netherlands. And I probably didn't mention this, but besides France, there were revolutions throughout Europe in 1830. A handful, not a lot. The lot is coming up here in 1848. But Belgium got independence. Greece obtained independence from the Ottoman Empire. So there's another new country added to the fold. And what I'd like you guys to do now is do your summary, at least try to get 50 words, central question. Make sure you look at that as to how Europe reacted.